Alright, so hello and welcome to today's live stream. This afternoon on Thursday, August 3rd, news broke that Robert Mueller, head of the special counsel investigation into President Trump's ties to Russia, Robert Mueller has established a grand jury. Now, grand juries can be either at a federal or a state level. I actually have volume up here, I should take that down. So grand juries, they could be at a federal or state level, and they serve various purposes. And we'd like to learn more about that today. We have to learn more about that because people are asking about what the grand jury means for the future of this whole Russia thing. What does a grand jury mean, and what is it going to do? Why should I be concerned about it? So, at first you may think that the investigation is winding down. In fact, it can actually be ramping up. In fact, Rob Mueller has just brought on Greg Andres this past week as another attorney. And this guy, Greg Andres, he is a specialist in unlawful foreign bribery. And he was in charge of the fraud unit of the Justice Department, which includes targeting economic and white-collar crimes. And there are many people, many lawyers on this investigation who have backgrounds such as that. We have James Quarles, who was a prosecutor for the Watergate investigation, who was later focused on campaign finance litigation. We have Aaron Zebley. Aaron Zebley is one of the more well-known names. He went after Osama bin Laden, Khalfan Qamis Mohammed, and other high-profile terrorist targets and terrorist groups. He also worked with the National Security Division in the Justice Department. Andrew Goldstein, he successfully prosecuted Sheldon Silver from New York. He was found guilty of federal corruption, as well as fraud, money laundering, extortion. So these are the kind of people that are in this investigation, first of all. And it shows that the scope is widening. It's not really winding down, it's more opening up to not only Trump, but his associates and his business connections. So now this grand jury is established today. This is what we learned. And a grand jury is really a body of citizens, just like you or me, just citizens who get picked the same way you'd get picked for jury duty anywhere else. You get a summons in the mail saying, hey, you've been selected to serve on this board. You're a part of a grand jury. And the selection should be a lot more specific because this is a really high-profile case, and not just anybody can do it, so the selection is probably way more specific and selective. But can you even imagine being a part of this grand jury for this investigation? I think you'd have to live in Washington, D.C. to even get like a small chance of that happening. And the reason why this grand jury is established at the federal level is prosecutors use these juries to determine whether someone should face indictment for crimes. So, in other words, can they find probable cause? Do we have reason to believe that this person committed a crime? Should we charge them? And then, finally, should this go to trial? Now, there are a few reasons why a jury would be established, as I've stated before. First of which is to find indictments for a criminal charge. Second is to issue subpoenas. And third is to get witness testimonies. But you don't really need a grand jury to get witness testimonies or subpoenas. You could do that really from any court. Even prosecutor can just go to a judge and make that happen on their own. But the end goal would pretty much be you're looking for an indictment. You're looking for more information. You're looking to subpoena people and for documents. You're looking to get witness testimonies because you're looking for an indictment. And that's pretty much why people believe that Bob Mueller is onto something here, because he wouldn't do this unless he really thinks that charges can be brought. It's not something you just do. Your end goal is for criminal charges, and that still doesn't mean that that's going to happen anytime soon, because a grand jury can last for weeks or it can last for months. This is actually the second one as it relates to Russia, because Michael Flynn had a grand jury established not too long ago, and so this is the second one. And what we're looking at here, we only know possible targets at this point. This is very secretive. process and the targets involved, the witnesses, the testimonies, they're all very secretive. Not even the jurors can talk about this, of course. So possible targets could include Paul Manafort, Donald Trump Jr. There's also, of course, Michael Flynn still has his going on, but there's Paul Manafort, Donald Jr., and Jared Kushner. Very, very suspicious targets, as we've seen in the leaks coming out throughout this case. And the thing about leaks is we know this months and months after the original investigators know this. So they don't just happen in real time. We're not going to get live updates from this. In fact, the grand jury itself could have been established weeks ago for all we know. The testimonies could have already happened, and they may be in the decision phase at this point. So things could ramp up quickly, they might not. This is something that we're really not sure of. So as for indictments, what would happen? Well, the grand jurors do not decide whether someone's guilty or not. That's obviously for the trial, but they also don't directly bring upon indictments. They do decide whether or not there is enough probable cause. So the prosecutors present evidence. The prosecutors present the evidence and the jurors listen to it over however long this jury lasts. They can get witness testimonies, documents, other evidence, and they sit down, they take notes. They may even have investigative power upon themselves. And once the jurors hear the evidence, they read the proposed charges. And then, after talking amongst themselves, they decide whether or not there's enough evidence for indictment. And it is very easy, very, very easy for charges to be brought from a federal grand jury. In fact, there was a graph the Washington Post published. It was like 99.99% of federal grand juries return an indictment, because this is pretty serious stuff. And it's really easy to issue an indictment from this, for charges to result from this, unless you're in that like 0.00000 whatever 1% who doesn't get it, who somehow gets off, then you're fine. And we really don't know who the target of this is. We don't know what Mueller's probe has expanded into. There could be more grand juries. We don't know who the target of this one is. It could expand to the president himself, because as far as we know, it's mostly around his campaign associates. But really, come on, you're going after the little guys when the head guy is out here getting away with it. But as a personal opinion, and I think this has some merit, the biggest indication of guilt that we've seen so far is when the president talked about pardons. When he said, well, tweeted, because that's all that happens, when he tweeted that all are in agreement that the president has absolute power to pardon. So this guy is basically saying, I can pardon myself, I can pardon my family, I can pardon anyone who is involved, but the word pardon is very suspicious to bring up, because you only say that when a crime has been committed. You don't pardon someone just because there is an investigation going on. A pardon is not for that. It doesn't get rid of an investigation. It's meant to clear someone of a conviction. So even talking about pardons to begin with is saying a crime has been committed. So obviously we're left to interpret that as we will, but that's pretty much what he's saying. Now, this investigation is expected to go on for months. It can go well into 2018, just in time for the midterms, by the way. But really well into 2018, but I don't think we have to worry about the qualifications of the people who are investigating this case. Robert Mueller is one of the best. These other investigators are really the best in their field. I'm talking about people like Lisa Page, a Justice Department trial attorney who has experience in foreign money laundering and organized crime cases. She actually previously partnered with the FBI in international crimes, including the case of Dmitry Firtash, who was Firtash, I should say, who once worked with Paul Manafort. So this is something that she is not even new to. We have Zainab Aman. She's a Pakistani American prosecutor who has a 13-0 record when it comes to taking down international terrorists. And she's considered to be one of the finest in her field, by the way. She's very young, very talented at her job as well. Michael Dreeben, he's an expert in criminal law. He worked at the Solicitor General's office, and he has brought over 100 cases to the Supreme Court. And this guy's reputation is known all throughout Congress and the justice community, and I can go on and on throughout these 16 attorneys who are working in the special counsel investigation. Their backgrounds are obviously really impressive, especially the leader, Robert Mueller. So, I think we have nothing to worry about. I think that we should not want this to rush, because we want this to get done right the first time. Whether you're pro-Trump, whether you're against him, you hate him, and whether you even believe in this Russia investigation, that all doesn't matter, because this investigation is happening. It's not fake, because for such fake news, there are a lot of real attorneys, a lot of real connections being found, and a lot of sketchy things, usually brought on by the administration themselves. It's the way that they're acting that really makes this suspicious. Because if you look at Nixon, he did the same thing. If he shut up, if he stopped talking about it, maybe his lower level guys would have been thrown under the bus, and he would have just continued being president. Same thing with this current president. It's not what they did, it's how they're handling it. And we all know that people get in trouble for the cover-up more often than the actual crime. And we know that the special counsel has advised the Republican committee, do not destroy evidence from this case as it relates to the Trump campaign, because they need those documents for the investigation. And I saw a lot of people commenting, hey, the documents are already gone, they already burned them. Well, if that's the case, then good, because that's obstruction of justice. So they better hope they didn't destroy them. Because if they find out, hey, why did you destroy this? Why didn't you keep it? It seems pretty important. It seems pretty suspicious that you don't have it. So the main point of this is, as to why this is all suspicious, is how the administration is acting. You don't have to get on Twitter every day and declare your innocence. You know, if you were innocent, you would just say, all right, it's fine. I'll just let it go. I'll continue being president. I'll pass healthcare, which you didn't do. And, they'll find me innocent. But from firing the FBI director because he didn't believe in this whole Russia thing, firing James Comey just because he didn't believe in the investigation, that is an absolute indication of something sketchy going on. Because you wouldn't do that if you were innocent. You know, he wouldn't ask Comey to pledge his loyalty to him. The Comey memo wouldn't have to exist. It would just be, all right, I'll just continue doing my job and living like this isn't happening, because that's what innocent people do. But that's obviously not the case. So there's some reason to believe that in the wake of the grand jury that something is up, that Robert Mueller, head of the special counsel, and his brilliant team of men and women working alongside him, it's sufficient to believe that they're onto something. But of course, there are so many developments to be had, and that's really it for today. Whenever something big happens, there'll be another stream like this, but thank you very much for watching. Enjoy.